Well, have you ever felt like giving up? I mean, that's kind of a redundant question because of course you have. We all have been in that place. I can tell you that one of the most difficult seasons in my life for both me and my husband were we had 3 teenagers running from God, drugs, alcohol, parties, just all kinds of scenarios going on, feeling like failures as parents, struggling, and on so many levels feeling like giving up. I mean, feeling like giving up even on our parenting, but more importantly, really feeling like giving up walking with Jesus. I mean, my husband and I found ourselves in a counselor's office, which is a great place to be. And the counselor turned to us and he said, you know, let me tell you a story about a family. And he said this mom and dad and this young teenage girl came in his office, and the teenage girl was dressed in her gothic black wear and her white makeup and was really belligerent. And he was trying to sort of work things out as a family, and he wasn't getting anywhere. So he asked the parents to leave the room. And as the parents left the room and he shut the door and he turned around to look at this young lady, she was crying. And he said, "Why are you crying?" After she had gathered herself together, she looked at him and said, "I wish they hadn't given up." I wish they hadn't given up? What was she talking about? I said to the counselor, what did she mean by that? And he looked me right in the eye and he said, she began to tell him that her parents were leaders in the church. They loved Jesus, that she was raised in the church, that as a young girl she'd given her heart to Jesus. But through her rebellion, through her running, her parents had given up, in her mind, of following the Lord. They'd left their church, they'd stopped serving, they were so down and depressed because of her rebellion that they had given up. She said, "I wish they hadn't given up." Well, I just literally sat up on that counselor's chair and I'm like, are you kidding? And the counselor said to my husband and I, "Your kids do not want you to give up." Well, somebody today needs to hear that. You know what? People in our lives, they run, they have their own journeys. We have to release them and let God deal with them. But we cannot give up on being faithful to follow our Lord. And you know what? It can be a very discouraging place, but here's a verse that really helped me. Galatians 6 verse 9 says, "Let us not grow weary in doing good. For at the proper time," not the time that you might think is the proper time. That's a whole other discussion. We want it today. God says, at the proper time. In His economy, with His perspective, we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Did you hear that? You will reap a harvest if you do not give up. Our tendency is to give in and to give up, to feel in some ways if our family is struggling that we are no longer qualified to lead, we are no longer qualified to serve. Well, that is a lie from the pit of hell. And Jesus says, "You be faithful to me, I will be faithful to you." And in due time, you keep doing what is right, in due time, you will reap a harvest if you do not give up. Give God your fears, give Him your failures, give Him your questions and your struggles. Be the person God designed you to be. Do what He asked you to do. Do not give up. And I can tell you, your kids do not want you to give up. In proper time, there will be a harvest for you and your family. I'm Lorie Hartshorn.